So it might be a good segue to actually move on to a couple of books that we've got sitting here on the table. The first one here is The Digital Workforce Experience, written by Jason Averbook. Would you like to just talk a little bit about that one, Jason?
So this is my second book, and I always share this story. So I wrote the first book based on the fact that I found when my father passed away, I actually had the opportunity or responsibility to clean out his closet.
Right.
And as I was cleaning out his closet, I actually found a book that my grandfather wrote, which was called Deal Me Out. And actually you can still go on Amazon and look up Sam Averbook, Deal Me Out.
Yeah.
He was a professional wrestler.
Right.
And he was very close to committing suicide and wrote this book called Deal Me Out. And I had no clue about any of him. And nothing to find out about my great-grandpa. Actually, my grandpa, excuse me, at the time. So I said, well, I have to capture something that I'm doing in life so that at least there's some legacy. Now, there's videos and stuff like that, but I wanted something that people would hold in their hand. So that was the first book. After 4 years, I look back, and you and I shared this story in the airport as we ran into each other yesterday. Stuff gets old. Books are old. It's why students shouldn't use books anymore, unless you're studying history from 500 years ago, because the stuff gets dated. So this one is really the next. So the first one was called HR From Now to Next. The purpose of that book was, hey, wherever you are now, there's a next. This book is called The Guide to the Digital Workforce Experience on purpose, because where every organization is today, their next is all about digital experience. There's no question. Now, what level you're going to embrace that is completely up to the organization based on its own DNA and signature, but this is the next. And that's why this was the next book. So one of the things that's really important about the book, just really quick, chapter 2, page 26, and I quote this a lot, is the gap between strategy and execution. And that happens a lot. I know we're going to talk about strategy in a second, but people have strategies, maybe. But then executing that strategy and keeping it aligned from strategy to execution is our industry's biggest problem. So it's one of the things we call in the book is you have to have a vision, you have to have a strategy, and then you have to create a roadmap to be able to execute against that. And if you don't, if you just go out and buy technology or think about changing a process without that vision, chances of success are nil. So, really wanted to call that out in the book. And by the way, I use it in life too. The strategy and execution chasm, we have a lot of different strategies, like, hey, we're going to lose weight, hey, we're going to go for a walk, hey, we're going to get up early, whatever it is. The ability to execute is oftentimes our biggest problem.
Thanks for that. Would you like to add anything else?
No, that's plenty.
All right, very good. And I've got a book here as well called The Digital Workforce, so very much in the same vein as Jason's. And the first thing I'd like to do is, this is the first time I've seen you since I've published this book, and I'd like to thank Jason for actually writing the foreword in the book for me.
You're welcome. It was a joy.
It was, and when I read it for the first time, I was absolutely delighted.
Good.
It was very good. And picking up on one of the points that we made earlier, in the foreword, I was delighted when you said that one of the things that this book talked about was value of investment. So it's not just return on investment, but it's actually value of investment. So I got passionate about this area of work called workforce management, which is a really nebulous area, and if you ask people, I'll all give you a different definition of what it is. So it's an area that I happened to fall into some 15, 20 years ago, and decided that I'd been doing it for a long time and had to write about it. So I wrote the book in two halves. The first half is really what is workforce management and how can you get value from it. And it's all written through the eyes of a customer. And then the second part of the book is really a framework and a method to actually help you get that value. So it starts at the strategy and the align and roadmap level. And then ultimately it goes right through the implementation layer to the measurements and to the benefits and to the value that you can actually get. So it comes back to what we were talking about earlier on around getting that value from the workforce and actually measuring that value of the workforce. So
and with workforce management, by the way, which thank you, because you've kind of put it back on the map, or back on the map from a label standpoint at least. I mean, you can drive true ROI from workforce management. There are true cost savings that can be driven by that some of the other things that are softer things in HR, like engagement and retention, it's harder. But with workforce management, you can get to the other side of the equation in a very proven, trusting way very quickly.
And I think why I'm delighted to be just sitting here talking to you today, especially with these books here, is that it comes back to what we were talking about earlier on with the intravenous. Because if we all don't work together with the outcome in mind, across all of those 184 touch points that we're talking about earlier on, we're not going to get there.
Right. So we were sitting in Los Angeles talking about this. So would you write another book?
Love to.
What was the value of writing the book to you?
I think that the book served a couple of purposes from my perspective. Number one is that at the same time as writing this book, I started a new company called Smart Workforce Management. And what the book did was it actually gave me a blueprint for the business. It basically said, if you're a customer that wants to work with us, then this is what you can expect from our business. Or if you're an employee that actually wants to come and work in our business, then this is what you can expect from the business. So for me, that was the first thing. Then the second thing was just to give back to an industry that had given so much to me. And I wear this little badge here today called Pledge 1%, which is a foundation and it's an organisation, and it's all about give 1% of time, equity and profit from your organisation to things that have special meaning to you. And it was founded by the founders of Atlassian and Salesforce.com, and they're very passionate about it. So we're able to within our business give 1% back to organisations that have special meaning to us, and part of the proceeds from this book actually go to Pledge 1% as well.
That's great.
So that was my sort of passion and reason for doing
and I mean the interesting thing about this book is, the name of our company is LeapGen, and you'll see that the title here is Leap for a Purpose. And leap means multiple things. First of all, it means jump over your competition in many ways. But also LEAP is an acronym for something that, as a good friend of mine, Steve Farber, wrote about in one of his books called The Radical Leap. It stands for love, energy, audacity, and proof. You have to love what you do, which generates energy to do the audacious and prove value. And if you can do that, as people in our industry, we're going to be able to jump over the competition or leap over the competition, like we talk about. So Leap for a Purpose, the book, and the name of the company is really tied into how do you develop strategies, how do you develop visions, and how do you execute those as a way to leapfrog your organization. Yeah,
and it's quite uncanny timing, really, that we both happen to write books that we're both very passionate about at the same time, and ultimately it all comes back to strategy and taking the industry forward. So.
It does. So, I'm glad to be here at HR Tech. My session on Thursday is all about kind of pouring your heart out to try to help people understand we're at this massive inflection point where a lot of mindsets haven't changed. A lot of us haven't done a good job of understanding what our workforce looks like.
Yeah.
We haven't reimagined processes, but yet we've got this amazing technology.
Yeah.
So, in my mind, it's our time. It's our time to take advantage of that. And that's what I hope to get across to the audience here at HR Tech.
Great. And your company's website, Jason?
LeapGen.com.
LeapGen.com. And if someone wants to buy a copy of the book?
Amazon.com. Amazon.com, or send me an email or tweet me at Jason Averbook.
Perfect.
Make sure you get a copy.
Perfect. And mine is smartwfm.com, and similar Amazon as well. Tweet me, email me, jm@smartwfm.com or jmcgrath.au on Twitter. Pleasure to speak to you, Jason.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Thank you.
Have you gambled at all?
Do you know, I don't gamble, and I've been to Vegas quite a few times, and I don't think I've ever spent $1 on the blackjack table.
Have you had a drink?
I have had a drink.
Have you gone to a show?
I haven't been to a show this trip.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Vegas is a lot of fun.
Yeah,
so,
sure is.
It'll be a good time.
Sure is. All right, and looking forward to the rest of the conference. Thank you.
Thank you.